Come on, I see you already in the building. That's what's up, man. I'll see you, brother. Waiting for Chief Holiday to get in. All right, I got you in, Chief.
You back. That's what's up, man.
Yeah, Trauma Hawk beat you here, Ty. You got to get some of them Libra sons, man. You got to get some of the Aboriginal shoes. Libra son in the building too. That's what I'm talking about. All right, you want to get right to it?
Yeah, let's get right into it.
All right, y'all. Without further ado, man, none other than Kurimeo the Great. Kurimeo. Gotta say it 3 times, y'all. Love it, man. Oh, finally, man. The last one would not let me live stream. All right, y'all. Without further ado, here we go. Kurimeo with part 2, the true origin of the name America.
Shalom to the Amarukan Shabbatah. This is part 2 of the origin of the name America investigation we got going. If you haven't seen, part 1 of this, pause it right now and go watch that. You don't want to miss that. So, right away, let's just get into it, family. I got some more information, some more correlation to you, so you can see that this name is more indigenous than a European creation. All right. All right, so now we're going to go into a whole other correlation here with the word America. All right, and this is, let's start with this journal here, this entry, this article from the American Geographical Society. It's called The Origin of the Name America. Again, the source would be the Journal of the American Geographical Society of New York, Volume 20, 1888, pages 183 to 196. All right, again, The Origin of the Name America by G.O.C. Hurlbut. An article under this title in the Bulletin of the American Geographical Society number 4 for 1886 was devoted to an examination of Mr. Jules Marcot's theory that the name of the New World was taken from that of a mountain range in Nicaragua. Now they're talking about this article by Jules Marcot. He wrote it in French first, the origin of the name America in a place in Nicaragua. And Mr. Marcot holds that 4 facts dominate the question as to the origin of the name America. These facts are: first, that Amerrique, all right, now we're going into Amerrique, is the Indian name of the mountains between Yuigalpa and Libertad in the province of Chontales in Nicaragua. And these mountains separate Lake Nicaragua from the Mosquito Coast. The word Amerrique signifies in the Maya language the country of the wind, the country where the wind blows constantly. The Christian name of Vespucci is Alberigo. Okay? All right, so we're about to get into Vespucci now. All right, again, the real Christian name of Vespucci is Alberigo. Alberigo in Italian and in Spanish, Albericus in Latin. I Albericus. So this is Albert actually. Albert. Alberigo and Albericus is Albert. Nothing to do with America, right? Says 3. No other name has ever been subjected to so many variations and combinations, whether deliberate or unconscious, as the name of Vespucci. There is no parallel instance in the history of distinguished men, except in the name Alberigo. Not one of the names is found in the nomenclature of the calendars of the Italian and Spanish saints. Although Vespucci lived at the time of the greatest fervor and the absolute supremacy of Roman Catholic Christianity, All right, you hear what they're telling you, right? Finally, not one of these names, Americus, Amerigo, Amerigo, Amergio, Americo, Almerigo, Albertutio, Almerico, Morigo, Damerigo, Armenico, Emeric, Iameric, Almeric, and Americ is a diminutive or an accepted form either in Italy or in Spain or in France for Alberico, Albericus, and Alberic, Alberic or Albert. All right. So they're telling you that these names, if if it was his name, Amerigo, right? If they're trying to say, well, it's different in a different language than Albert. Albert is Amerigo. No, it's not. All right. It is not. It's not. It doesn't translate to Albert. All right. That was his name. So his name has nothing to do with America. All right. That's close case right there. We shouldn't even be having this discussion, but we have to, right? Because everybody's still talking about Vespucci. Now, before 1507, the date of the publication of the name Americus by Jean Basson at Saint Dieu, the name is not to be found in any printed document nor in any manuscript document of recognized and unquestionable authenticity. All right, so they're saying that his name, Americus, or linked anything to Vespucci, does not appear printed anywhere before 1507, because at 1507 is when they came out with this map, right? That has the word America on South America, little piece of South America that's sticking out. All right, and that's when it came out. So before that, there's nothing stating that Vespucci is America's, or relating that word anywhere with him. All right, these are Mr. Marcus' four facts, and they do not all stand examination. First, the range of mountains in the Chontales province bears among educated Nicaraguans the name of Amerrisque. Amerrisque. And the orthography of a word is to be learned from the educated, not from the ignorant. All right? So the etymology of a word, you should learn that from educated people, not from ignorant people, men who use it. The Amerrisque tribe, which gave its name to the range, is fast fading away, and there seems to be no reason for believing that the law, which works in all other languages, does not work in theirs. Names are a part of language, and language is like Falstaff in a state of continual dissolution and thaw. It is supposed that the Amerrisques were once powerful, but very little is known concerning them. All right, so look at this word Amerrisque. Remember, and Maracana was also called Tamarisk, Tamarik, Tamarik, Amerrisque, Tamarik, Amerrisque. The decay of their speech must have gone on for a long time before civilized men had occasion to know the tribe, and the name by which the people in the mountains are now known is, not improbably, the bare remnant of the original word, which may very well have been something like Ameristike, shortened successively to Ameristique and Amerisque, to which latter shape the arts of writing and printing may give permanence. All right, so again, we got the original source. Again, the origin of the name America by Jules Marcos. So let's see what Jules actually said. The other guy was reviewing his work. Says the controversy as to the priority of the discovery and the honor of bestowing a name on the New World has been so long undecided, almost 3 centuries, that any light thrown upon this intricate problem may help its true solution. If the truth be discoverable at this late day, and with this hope I offer the following contribution. Amerrique, Amerrique, or Amerrique is the name in Nicaragua for the highland or mountain range that lies between Yugalpa and Libertad in the province of Chontales, and which reaches on the one side into the country of the Carcas Indians, and on the other into that of the Ramas Indians. Ramas, all right? Can't drop letting us know what Ramas or Romans, Romi, this meant something to do with the promised land and the pomegranate. It just means pomegranate in the promised land, the people of the promised land, or the promise, the Ramas. All right? Romans, they hijacked the word. The rios Mico, Artigua, and Carca that form the Rio Bluefields, the Rio Grande Matagalpa, and the rios Rama and Indio that flow directly into the Atlantic, as well as the rios Comoapa, Mayales, Acoyapa, Ajocuapa, Oyale, and Terpenacuatapa, flowing into the Lake of Nicaragua. All have their sources in the Amerrique range, Amerrique range. All right, so all these places, especially this area that dumps into the Caribbean side or the Atlantic side of Nicaragua, you see a lot of copper-colored people, you know, in this area that look like many of the so-called African Americans in the USA. So, you got to visit these areas, but this is an important ancient area, and this name Amerrique is theirs. This is a tribal name, Amerrique. Says the names of places in the Indian dialects of Central America often terminate in ike or ik, which seems to mean great or elevated, prominent, and is always applied to dividing ridges or to the elevated mountainous countries, but not to volcanic regions. For instance, Nique and Aglecinique in the Isthmus of Darien, Estados Unidos de Colombia, Tucarique and Amerrique in Nicaragua, Amatique, Manabique, Chaparristique, Lepaterique, Lotic, Lotique, and Ajuterique en Honduras, Atenquique, Estados Unidos de México, Tactic and Poloquic in Guatemala, Tepic, Acatic, and Mezquitic in the state of Jalisco. The list of Indian local or other names with the termination of Ike or IC as Cacique or Cacique, great chief, might be easily lengthened. All right, so you see what he's saying? This French guy is that this word like Amerrique, America, Amerrique, the IC, that's an indigenous term, right? An indigenous way of describing something, and word sound, it becomes like the ik, but it means great or elevated, prominent. All right. So he's letting you know. He's breaking that part of the word down for you. It is now well known through the learned researches of philologists for the last 20 years that no denominations are more securely established than the names of localities, mountains, valleys, lakes, and rivers. Even the most absolute conquest, unless it totally exterminate the aboriginal race inhabiting a country, does not destroy entirely the names of localities or lieux dits, as the French so well express it. So he's telling you that, we got a lot of names, like even in the States, a lot of the mountain names, like, whatever, Mount Zion or whatever, Appalachian mountain, these are indigenous words, is what he's saying. Even though the people are gone, the aboriginals have been enslaved or sent away or are now being called Negro, African American, the indigenous names of these places, it's a fact that they're still there, and that they are indigenous, that they were named by the indigenous people. They are indigenous words. So he's trying to let you know that this Amerrisque mountains, it's an indigenous word, and it's from the indigenous people of that area, the aboriginals. That's what it's basically letting you know. These names may be slightly modified by various spelling, but the primitive sound remains. And even where the aboriginal race entirely disappears, the names of places are often preserved, at least as synonymous, of which there are many examples in Canada, in New England, in the state of New York, and elsewhere throughout the Union. The question to be decided is whether the word Amerique or Amerrique, designating a part of the terra firma discovered by Cristoforo Colombo on his fourth and last voyage to the New World, was known to the great navigator, and consequently could have been repeated by him or by the companions of his voyage. There is no certainty of this, for the word is not confounded in the very brief account he has left us. But we know that Christopher Columbus knew of the word Amaracapana, but as the origin of the word Amerique has been until now an enigma, in spite of the different interpretations of it that have been given, Vespucci had nothing to do with this name. Vespucci had nothing to do with this name, entirely unknown to him. The inventor of the word Amerrisque or America, being a printer and bookseller in a small town hidden in the Vosges Mountains, it is perhaps well to review the facts and to show where lies the greatest probability for a true solution of the origin of this word America, which denominates alone a hemisphere. In the Lettera Rarissima of Cristoforo Colombo, given an abridged description of his fourth voyage, 1502-03, he says that after having passed the Cape Gracias a Dios on the Mosquito Coast, he reached the Rio Grande Matagalpa, which he called the Disaster River. And after remaining anchored there for several days, he stopped sometime for repairing his ships and giving rest to the crews between the small island of La Huerta, the garden Kiribiri, in the continent opposite the village of Cariari or Cariai. Cariari is so like Carcai, or the dwelling place of the Carcass Indians, who still live in the neighborhood, that it is possible that the variation is caused by an error in reading the manuscript letter of Colombo, the C having been mistaken for an I. The great object of the desire and researches of Colombo and his company was the finding of gold mines. All right, listen to this: the finding of gold mines, and of these inhabitants of Cariari and Carcay had much to relate. They led Colombo to another village called Carambaru, who whose inhabitants wore golden mirrors around their necks. These Indians named several places where mines of gold existed, the last name being Veragua, 25 leagues distant on the coast. And they're talking about further south when you start going into Costa Rica and Panama, that's what they were calling Veragua. Colombo and his company were struck by the number of sorcerers, medicine men, sorcerers they call them, shaman, right? The medicine men, among the Cariari or Carcai, and the sailors afterward thought they had been bewitched by them, as they suffered from the many tempests and mishaps of all sorts they were obliged to endure for the rest of the voyage. What was the geographical position of Cariari, Carcay, Carambaru, and Veragua? Veragua is known to be in the Great Bay of Chiriquí, Costa Rica. Chiriquí, Cherokee, Chiriquí, Cherokee, the Cherokee. Look at that word. Costa Rica, like I told you. So the Amerrique Mountains, the end of it almost ends near Costa Rica. We still got the word Cariari here in Costa Rica, Cariari. All right. Columbus says in his narration, and there is a lot of gold here. They did find a lot of gold. The Indians were gold all over them. That's why it's named Costa Rica, which means rich coast. Columbus named it the rich coast because he saw all the gold. And not just that, the fruits, the fertile land, he meant rich in many ways. Columbus says in his narration, it is the custom in this territory of Veragua to bury the chief men with all the gold they possess. And in these last years, gold has been found in the tombs of the aborigines of that country. Aborigines. Carambaru was at least 25 leagues distant from Veragua, Chiriquí, which brings us a little to the north of the Rio San Juan. And the Rio San Juan is that which divides Costa Rica and Nicaragua. And Greytown, Cariari, Carcay, must have been a little farther north in the neighborhood of the mouth of the Rio Bluefields, of which the Rio Carca is one of the affluents, where are several islands, and this accords with the narration of Colombo. The Carcass Indians inhabit all this region and work today in the gold mines of Santo Domingo and Libertad. On the Rio Mico, another affluent of the Bluefields, at the foot of the Amerrique or Amerrique range, at the foot of the Amerrique range. And if you know about Nicaragua and Bluefields, you see that's all copper colored tribes of America there. You'll see that, all right? At the foot of the Amerrique or Amerrique range, Carambaru was probably near Rio Rama and in the country of the Ramas and Indians. Now the Ramas and Carcas Indians have always resisted all attempts at civilization. Most of them, especially the Ramas, are wholly savage and allow no one to penetrate into their country. They have remained the same as they were when Colombo visited them in 1502. It is well known with what tenacity the Indians attached themselves to all their surroundings, and the Amerrique or Amerrique range forms the highest chain of mountains in the country of the Carcas and Ramas Indians, the average being 3,000 feet, making a dividing line between the waters flowing directly into the Atlantic and those that empty into the Lake of Nicaragua. According to travelers who have visited certain places in the neighborhood of Libertad, Yuegalpa, and Acoyapo, this mountain range is very conspicuous. It is seen from afar with its precipitous rocks, great white cliffs, and huge isolated rocky pinnacles. This ridge divides the country in two parts. distinguished by totally different climates. To the east, continual rains have caused impenetrable forests, and to the west of this dividing line, the country is arid and unproductive for want of rain. The Amerrique range prevents the passage of all the moisture from the Atlantic. All right, so you see this ridge, this Amerrique mountains, how they split the country in two and keep all the water on one side. That happens almost like that here in Costa Rica. Our Caribbean side gets a lot more rain, all right, than our Pacific side. All right. The Amerrique Range prevents the passage of all the moisture from the Atlantic. The direction is from north northwest to south southeast, and the last spur of the range is on the Atlantic coast, a little to the north of Greytown. The ramifications being in the country of the unapproachable and savage Ramas Indians.
With Abbas ERP, manufacturers and distributors take control of operations and keep customers satisfied.
All right, we're in this book now. It's called The Earth and Its Inhabitants, North America, by Eliza Reclus. All right, volume 2. It says Mexico, Central America, West Indies. All right, 1893. And we're going to this part of the book right here. And it's talking about a region in Central America in Nicaragua. All right, from Nicaragua going down towards Costa Rica. All right, and it says in several places, these fragmentary sections of the plateau present the aspect of distinct sierras. Such are in the north the Sierra de Geluca, and in the south that of Jolaina, which terminates seaward in the Punta Mico, the monkey point of English writers. Amongst the various foothills of the main range, there is one ridge which had passed unnoticed by all geographers till indicated for the first time by the naturalist Belt in 1874, when it attracted universal attention owing to the curious resemblance of its name to that of the New World itself. All right, its name resembled the name of the New World, where they're talking about America. This is the little Sierra de Amerrique. All right, this is the Sierra de Amerrique near Libertad. Otherwise, remarkable for its sheer rocky walls, its obelisk and huge isolated crags. The name of the continent has now been connected by M. Marcou with these hitherto unknown rugged heights, the theory being that Amerigo Vespucci and other early navigators heard the natives speak of the hills in question as abounding in treasures, and then applied the term to the whole region. Thereupon it occurred to Amerigo to turn to his personal glory the accidental resemblance of this name to his own. All right, we're going to see that's not even his name. All right, now it says the Sierra de Amerrique, called also Amerrisque and Amerrisque. All right, Amerrisque, Amerrique. Remember, there was a large island they said called Tamarique up north of South America, Tamarique, and they had a god named Tamarique and the people Tamarique. All right, Amerrique, Tamarique, Amerrisque, from a local tribe said to have been formerly powerful. All right, so it says that this name Amerrisque from a local tribe, Amerrisque people, the Amerrisque tribe, Amerrisque, Isque, Chisque, Mosque, Merisque, from a local tribe said to have been formerly powerful, lies in the territory of the ancient Lencas, as is shown by the ending, Riga and generally occurring in the Honduras regions inhabited by these Indians. There is the strongest evidence that this word, denoting the range in the rocks of Amerrique, Amerrique, or Amerrique, is an indigenous word. All right, this is an indigenous word. The terminal Ike or IC being common for the names of locality in the language of the Lenca Indians of Central America. All right, this is a word the Lenca use, a part of Mexico, and that this name has been perpetuated without alteration since the discovery of the New World by the complete isolation of the Indians who live in this part of the continent, who call their mountains by the same word today as they did in 1502 when Colombo visited them, Amerrique, Amerrique, or Amerrique. These mountains are auriferous. At their foot lie the gold mines of Libertad and Santo Domingo, and further the gold of the alluvion or the placers is entirely exhausted, which can only be explained through a previous washing by the Indians themselves. At present, the gold is to be found only in the veins of quartz rock. Colombo says that Indians named several localities rich in gold, but he does not give the names in his very curtailed account, contenting himself with citing the names of the province of Siamba. But it is highly probable that this name, Amerrique or Amerrique, was often pronounced by the Indians in answer to the present demands of the Europeans of the expedition. The eagerness for gold was such among the first navigators that it formed their chief preoccupation everywhere, and it is almost certain that to their continual questions as to the place where the gold was found that the Indians wore as ornaments, the reply would be from Amerique. All right, you get it? So they're finding all this gold in this coast too in Central America, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Veragua. All right, and where did you get that gold? They would ask the Indians, and they would say, "We got it from the Amerrique, Amerrique, Amaru, Amaruca, Amaraca." So you see how there's also gold in South America related to Amaraca, all right, and there's gold here related to Amerrique. So they're going back to Europe, all these people, and like, man, we're getting gold from all these regions called Amerrique, America, Amerrique, all right? This word signifying the most elevated and conspicuous part of the interior, the upper country, the distinguishing feature of the province of Kiamba. It does not follow that Colombo was ignorant of the word Amerique because he was omitted in the Latera Rarissima, which was addressed by him to his Catholic Majesty, the powerful King of Spain. It is evident from his mention of several places where gold was to be found, as the Indians had told him without giving their names, that he did not tell all he knew, and it must be remembered that the Latera Rarissima was written under the most painful circumstances. He was a prisoner in the island of Jamaica, loaded with chains, old, infirm, and overwhelmed by suffering and injustice, and not in a position to make a very full report of his expedition. His account of his fourth voyage, and the least clear and precise of all his writings, shown in its confused and melancholy style the sad condition to which he was reduced. And although the name Amerique is not seen therein, the region may have been considered by Colombo and his companions as an unexplored El Dorado, occupying the interior of the country in the province of Kiamba, along the coast of which they had navigated. We may suppose that Colombo and his companions, on their return to Europe, when relating their adventures, would boast of the rich gold mines they had discovered through the Indians of Nicaragua, and say they lay in the direction of Amerrique. This would make popular the word Amerrique as the common designation of that part of the Indies. All right, so Central America, Amerrique; South America, Amaraca, in which the richest mines of gold in the New World were situated. All right, the word Amerrique, a synonym for this golden country. Amerrique, a synonym for this golden country, just like Amaracana, would become known in the seaports of the West Indies and then in those of Europe, and would gradually penetrate into the interior of the continent, so that a printer and bookseller in Saint Dié, at the foot of the Vosges, would have heard the word Amerrique without understanding its true meaning as an indigenous Indian word, or would become acquainted with it in conversations about these famous discoveries as designating a country in the New Indies very rich in mines of gold. The annual report of the Board of Regents of the Smithsonian Institute showing the operations, expenditures, and condition of the institution in July 1888. There's like a report in here. And it says here, Amerigo Vespucci in America by Jules Marceau. Has different notes on what Jules Marceau said as well. All right, so these are some letters from Jules Marceau. And it says here, Washington, D.C., December 29th, 1887. It says, the word Amerrique is pronounced as Mr. Thomas Bell wrote it by the natives of the tribe with whom I have conversed. These Indians seem to have been formerly a powerful tribe. These were a powerful tribe, the Amarucans, right? The Amerrique, Amaruk. At a distance from the Sierra Range in the level ground, there are extensive spaces which were at one time cemeteries and undoubtedly belonged to these Indians. It is certain that towards the south other tribes inhabited that region. It is moreover easy to know that they kept up from very ancient date a communication with the Atlantic coast, cultivating probably friendly relations with the once warlike tribe of the Moscos, who held the country from about Laguna de Caratasca, Honduras, and the Cape Gracias a Dios to a little south of the Laguna de Perlas in the Rio Bluefields. At the present day, the Amerriques are few in number, but I do not feel able at the moment to give any sufficient reason for that fact. They are not molested by anyone and they live at their ease in their mountains, but it is evident that no long time will elapse before they disappear entirely, perhaps by absorption into other tribes. Mr. Thomas Bell, to whom you refer, must have had occasion to know the mountains and the Indians at that name during a journey which he made over the Cordillera to Matagalpa and Segovia. I served under the order of that gentleman in the mines of Chontales, and enjoyed the honor of his friendship and confidence. This protest of Senator J. D. Rodriguez was brought out by the position taken by a few opponents who claimed that because the map makers have not inscribed the name Amerrique on any of the maps known until now, the name Amerrique applied to a chain of mountains of Nicaragua was created out of Mr. Belt's inner consciousness. All right, so they're trying to say that this guy created this name, Thomas Belt. All right, but it's not the truth. Don Manuel M. de Peralta, now listen to this, Minister of Costa Rica at Washington, wrote a letter to President of the Republic of Nicaragua, Don Ad Cardenas, asking if there really is in El Departamento de Chontales a chain of mountains known by the name of Amerrique, Amerrique, or Amerrique. The answer not only confirmed the existence of the Sierra Amerrique, but also a tribe of Indians called Los Amerrisques, the Amerriques, Los Amerriques. All right, you hear that? There was a tribe by that name, the Amaru, Amari, Tamari, Tamari, and that the spelling of the name was, as Mr. Bell wrote it, Amerrique, with two R's. From those well authenticated facts, we can be fully confident that there are still in existence the remnants of an Indian tribe calling themselves Amerriques, formerly powerful and extending over a great part of the ground between the Lake of Nicaragua and the Atlantic coast. The mountains to which they are now confined are called Amerrique Range or Sierra Amerrique, and they have occupied for centuries the richest gold area of the region. The gold mines are numerous and are worked even to this day on a great scale. Round Libertad, Santo Domingo, and Jualcalpa, where great quantities of the precious metal have been and are still extracted. The name Huascalpa means the country of gold, and the name of the Mosquito Coast in the Indian language is Tausgalpa or Tagusgalpa. Galpa means gold, so that the true name of the country between the Cape Gracias a Dios, the Rios Rama, and San Juan, instead of being Mosquito Coast or Mosquita, is according to the Aborigines the Gold Coast. All right, this is the real Gold Coast. We're talking about right here in Central America, and then we're talking about also in South America. All right, the Amaracapana Coast. All right, that's all gold. All this was gold. This whole area of the America, the Caribbean, Central America, they were getting gold in Hispaniola. Remember, there was gold in the rivers there. All right, so this is the original Gold Coast, and this is what the Aborigines considered it, the Gold Coast. All right, now let us see about the first explorations by European navigators of the coast of the central part of the New World. Continuing in the book Origin of the Name America by Jules Marceau, Hilacomilus of Saint Dié, ignorant of any printed account of these voyages, but those of Albericus Vespucius, published in Latin in 1505 and in German in 1506, thought he saw in the Christian name Albericus the origin of this, for him altered and corrupted word, Amerrique or Amerrique, and renewing the fable of the monkey and the dolphin who took the Piraeus for a man, called this country by the only name among those of the navigators that had reached him, and which resembled the word Amerrique or Amerrique. In order to accomplish this, it was necessary to change considerably the Christian name of Vespucius, and from Albericus, Alberico, Americo, and Morico, which are the different ways of spelling the first name of Vespuccio, or Vespucci, or Vespucci. He made Americus. Thus, according to my view, it is owing to a grave mistake of Gila Comulus that the aboriginal name of the New World, Amerrique, has been Europeanized and connected with the sons of Anastasio Vespuccio. All right, this aboriginal word was Europeanized. Had this mistake occurred in Spain, Portugal, or the West Indies, evidently it would have been corrected, for Vespuccio and many of the companions of Colombo were still living. But in the little town of Saint Dié, the name of which probably was never known to Cristoforo Colombo or Alberico Vespuccio, distant from any seaport, this little pamphlet of the bookseller Hilacomilus was restricted to a small circle, and in truth it is around this limited area the error was propagated and prolonged by a publication of a new edition of the pamphlet of Hilacomulus at Strasbourg in 1509, and by the appearance at Basle in 1522 of the first map upon which was seen America Provincia. This map with the name America upon it reached Spain long after.
What if you said C? Si Passione, Giorgio Armani, and the new
After the death of Cristoforo Colombo, which took place in 1506, and the companions of his expedition, almost all unlearned men, were also either dead or gone back to the Indies, and no one was there who could correct the mistake. Even supposing that the map gave the origin of the word, the name Amerrique had been heard not as that of a man, but of a country, of an undetermined portion of terra firma of the New World, and it was accepted without difficulty, no attention being paid to the mistake of the printer and bookseller of Saint Dié, whose pamphlet was probably unknown in Spain. There can be little doubt that the word Amérique was not only known but popularized to a certain extent in the seaports of Spain, Portugal, and the Indies, or it would not have been thus at once accepted by universal consent without discussion. All right, so we know that the Spanish knew about Amaracapana or Amaraca because they had a settlement named Amaracu. We know that, right? So of course they accepted when they saw Amerique, America, all right? This is all the more probable from the fact that Hilacomulus, beside the marked alteration of the first name, Alberico, all right? So remember, Alberico, and this is Albert, has nothing to do with America. Disregarded the rule which has always been followed in naming countries by giving the first name instead of the family name of his hero, right? So he's pointing out that even, let's say it was true that it was named after Alberigo, then it would should have used his last name, not his first name, like everybody else does. He should have called the New World Vespuccia or Vespuccia after his last name. All right. The Christian name of an ordinary man is never used to designate a country, but only that of an emperor, king, queen, or prince. Thus we say Straits of Magellan, Vancouver's Island, Tasmania, Van Diemen's Land, etc. While we have, on the other hand, Louisiana, Carolina, Georgia, Maryland, Filipinas, Victoria, etc. There is no exception to this rule in the case of Cristoforo Colombo, for no one has thought of giving the name of Cristoforia to a country, and that of Cristoforo to a town, while at several epochs many names of Colombia, Columbus, and Cologne have been given. Furthermore, in given to Vespuccio the honor of naming the New World, Hilacomulus, using the Christian name contrary to all precedent, should have named it Albericia, or Amerigia, or Amerigonia, or Morigia, and not America. All right. So even if they were going to use his first name, it would still be different. It wouldn't be America. All right. So he's pointing out some very obvious things here. All right. The only way to explain this name reached with such difficulty is that Hilacomulus had previously heard pronounced the name Amerrique or Amerrique, Amerigo Vespucci, as the name is written by Cristoforo Colombo in his later dated Seville, 5 February 1505, died in 1512, long before the publication of Basli of the map in Mela cum commentatio Vadiani, without knowing the dangerous glory that was preparing for him at Saint Dié. As Humboldt expressed it, he believed until the end of his life that the New World was the coast of Asia, and died as he had lived, piloto mayor de Indias. All right. This belief in the Indies and the nearness to the river Ganges of their discovery prevented Colombo, all right, the river Ganges, river of Eden, right? So remember, because Colombo said when he reached the Orinoco, he's like, this river gotta be coming from the terrestrial paradise, the Garden of Eden. He thought it was the Ganges River, the Orinoco. All right, you gotta dig into that. And his contemporaries and his successors from giving the countries they found a collective name. The idea originated with men in the interior of the continent of Europe, unacquainted practically with the navigation of those times, so feverish with the excitement of voyages, and who repeating the sayings of the sailors without knowing very well what they were about, applied a name already known to those who had returned from the Indies. Remember, the Spanish and Portuguese, they were returning with this word Amaraca, the kingdom of Amaraca, Amerrique, Amaraca, Amerrique, Amaru, right? The gold from Amaraca and Amerrique, right? But which was without any exact geographical position to an entire group of newly discovered lands, hardly then recognized as a whole. The mistake of the theoretical geographers of Saint Dié, Strasbourg, and Basel could hardly have been corrected, unless by Colombo, who was no longer in this world, and then the discoveries of Cortes, Pizarro, and others came to change the direction of ideas as to the countries fabulously rich in gold. All right, so we know Pizarro, he knew about Amaracapana because he was there, and as there are accounts of them invading Cax Amaracapana. All right. Although Nicaragua was conquered in 1522 by Gil Gonzalez de Avida, a part of it remained wholly unknown, especially the region extending from the Atlantic to Lake Nicaragua, in which lies the Amerrique Range. And the ignorance of this part of America has continued so long that the Californian emigration even has passed by its across the isthmus of Nicaragua without any knowledge of or interest in its existence. It may be said that the region of country lying between the Caribbean Sea and the dividing line, or the waters that flow into Lake Nicaragua, is to this day entirely unknown. The Carcas and Ramas Indians, especially the latter, oppose any entrance into their country, rejecting even the Indians who search for Kaut Chok, and who intrepidly pursue their work in countries as yet closed. The theory I have presented has some great advantages. In the first place, it takes nothing from the glory of Colombo, the name of the continent discovered by him being an indigenous name, which from designating a small and limited country has been extended to include the whole of the New World, through the mistake of a teacher, printer, and bookseller in a little town hidden among the Vosges Mountains. The accusations of plagiarism from which Alberico Vespuccio has suffered are abolished, and there is no longer any reason to reproach him with having imposed or having suffered to be imposed his Christian name on a whole continent, inasmuch as this name was never Amerrique or Amerrique, but Alberico or Amerigo. The name Amerrique, although aboriginal, makes no confusion between a part and a whole, because the locality where it exists, as Lou did, is too small, obscure, and insignificant to give rise to any false or double meaning of the term. Finally, this name appears to be admirably chosen, extending as the Amerrique Range does from the center of the extremities of the continent, radiating as it were, giving one hand to the north and one to the south, looking to the Antilles and to the Pacific, and being even the central point of the immense chain of mountains which extends from the Tierra del Fuego to the borders of Mackenzie River, and forms the backbone of the Western Hemisphere, in truth, the longest range of mountains upon our globe.
I used to manage my team with spreadsheets. It was a nightmare. And then we switched to Monday.com. Monday.com is a platform to track everything your team is working on. We use it for all our projects: marketing, product development, HR, creative productions. It gives a sense of everything falling into place. Seriously, if you manage a team, you need to use Monday.com.
It is well chosen also, as it probably was heard by the great Admiral Colombo on his fourth voyage, the illustrious discoverer of the New World, being the first European who heard and pronounced the word Amerrique or Amerrique. So we know that Columbus in the same voyage got to that part of South America where they were calling Amaraca, the settlement, Amaraca. He was there. So of course he knew this. By the time he reached the Amerrique mountains, they, oh man, this word is everywhere. All right, not just in South America, but also in Central America with the Amerrique. Although we have no material certainly of this. Had the name belonged to a part of either extremity of the continent, it would hardly have been so readily accepted, but it grasped and took the New World as it were round the center, vaguely merely signifying a region very rich in gold mines, and it was employed and accepted without a thought of the pilot Alberico Vespucci. All right, so this word America, America, Amaraca, just like in South America, it was related to the lands of gold, right? The gold castles. Remember the golden mountains, golden castles, the golden castle mountains. All right, so just like there in Central America, also Amerrique, Amaru, was a region signifying a region very rich in gold mines. And it was employed and accepted without a thought of the pilot Alberico Vespucci, without his influence. It was a long time after that discussions arose among learned geographers, and that the gross mistake of Hilacumulus was imposed upon the world as truth. In a word, the name Amerrique is American. All right, Amerrique is American. Amaracara is Amaraca, Amaraca, Amarucan. First voyage of Vespucci. From the beginning, we are confronted by the most contested of Vespucci's voyages, May 1497 to October 1498. Las Casas, Herrera, Charlevoix, Robertson, Tiraboshi, Munoz, Navarrete, and Washington Irving declare that the author of the Quator Navigaciones has forced his first voyage. All right, we got this before. All right, so basically Vespucci supposedly made two voyages, but on the first voyage it seems like it was fraudulent. It wasn't real, or he didn't really land on the firm land or South America. He only did that on the second voyage, right? And all these authors, historic authors, are confirming this, right? That he forced his first voyage. All right, Alexander the Humboldt. Now we read Alexander the Humble, what he said earlier. After calling his so-called first voyage pretended, tries to show an alibi for Vespucci, who according to his opinion was then in Sevilla, and as San Lucar superintending the arming of a fleet for the third voyage of Christopher Columbus from April 1497 to 1498, and accordingly a material impossibility of having then accomplished his first voyage, which finally he calls problematic voyage of a contested date, admitting as proof that the date of May 10th or 20, 1497 is false. All right, Vespucci was never there before Columbus anyways. That's what they're trying to show you here. He made supposedly two voyages, and it seems like he only really went, the real one was the second one. All right. All right, so I just want to show you this map they have here. All right, it says map of the part of Nicaragua. So it shows Honduras, right, on top here. Then there's the border with Nicaragua, and you can see the word Amerrique Indians, right? Amerriques, right there, Amerriques. All right, you see the Atlantic, that's the Caribbean. Province of Chiamba, what Columbus was calling it Chiamba, and that was like an Asian word or Asian town he was looking for. So the Amerrique range, you see it here, the gold mirrors or Indians, the Amerrique Indians. All right, look at this. Then you got down here Costa Rica, right?
However, unbeknownst to most, Vespucci was not named Amerigo until after the naming of the New World on Waldseemüller's map, as writer Jan R. Carew records. Alberigo Vespucci and I deliberately used his authentic Christian name, a Florentine dilettante and rascal, corrected Columbus's error, Vespucci declared that what Columbus had indeed stumbled on was a new world. Alberigo was undoubtedly a Florentine dilettante and an extraordinarily clever one. Why would he otherwise have changed his Christian name after his voyage to the Americas? In other words, writes author Steve Quayle in his book, True Legends, the New World wasn't named after the mapmaker, but rather the mapmaker, Vespucci, named himself after the New World, and his friends and historians then claimed that the Americas were named after him. One of those claims came from a Florentine bishop of the time who boasted in a letter, "And well may our new world be named America, since its discovery was due to our eminent countryman, Amerigo Vespucci." This singular line from the bishop's letter has been touted by historians as proof that America was named after Vespucci. But aside from changing his name to match Waldseemüller's map, there are many other compelling arguments against America being named after Amerigo Vespucci. For starters, even if they had intended to name the New World after him, it is highly unlikely that Waldseemüller and Ringman would have used Vespucci's first name instead of his last. As historian Alexander Del Mar notes, had there been any intention to name the continent after Vespucci, his surname would have been used, so that the result would have been something like Vespugia instead of Ameriga. In short, there seems to be very little room to doubt that the world has been misled through the complimentary notice of the Florentine bishop who claimed the New World was named after Vespucci.
The name Amerigo or Amerigo or Amerrique, which are the three variations in spelling known
Deepest
as
apologies, y'all. I have to cut out
Latin,
here from the job, go to the
Amerigonius,
house, meaning
Amerigius,
that we're
Amerigo,
gonna have to
or
come
even
back.
Amerigue, but
Brought
not
Chief in, but he kept
Americas, all right? Those names
falling
would
out.
not
So
give
y'all, we're gonna
American.
shut it down and we're gonna bring it back
Nancy?
and finish out the rest of
There you go. As you can clearly see, glasses
the video, which is only
has
about 5 minutes, and
the
then
best
we're
and
going
most
in
convenient ways
about
to
30
get
minutes,
glasses.
y'all.
Buying
Be
glasses
back.
from a regular glasses store is super convenient.
Peace.
They probably only have around 200 to 300 pairs of glasses, while Glasses USA has over 6,000 different pairs of glasses to choose from. Just so you can see how many benefits Glasses USA